Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And I was actually just thinking, like, right as I was starting this video, I have the 2 meditation books right here, and I was thinking to myself, I never know, before I get into this video, because I never look up the meditations first before I start reading them. I'm always like, let's just, hear what our higher power or the universe is trying to tell us today. It's always, like, interesting where the meditation takes me or what I end up talking about, because literally I just sit down and start recording the video and I have no idea. I mean, it's so crazy to think this. Like, I just did this booktube video about my Kindle and stuff like that. And, I did a drama video earlier and I had notes for a rant video, but like, this is literally the meditation videos are literally videos that I just press record and I have no idea other than that I'm going to read a meditation in it. I have no idea what the topic of the video is going to be until I get into it. So should we get into it? Let's find out what the universe has to tell us today. Okay, so today is August 13th, and let's go in here. I keep on going to this dog-eared page from September 30th. I keep on going to that. Not a victim, it says. Okay, August 13th. I can't believe that we're almost halfway through August already. August 13th. Let's hear what the universe is telling us today. Friends. Oh, that might be a good one. Let's see. Friends are friends forever. Okay, so friends. What was yesterday's? Directness, healing. Okay, let's do friends, and then let's go to journey to the heart. Friends, August 13th. Don't overlook the value of friendship. Don't neglect friends. Friends are a joy. Adult friendships can be a good place for us to learn to have fun and to appreciate how much fun we can have with a friend. Friends can be a comfort. Who knows us better or is more able to give us support than a good friend? A friendship is a comfortable place to be ourselves. Often, our choice of friends will reflect the issues we're working on. Giving and receiving support will help both people grow. Some friendships wax and wane, going through cycles throughout the years. Some trail off when one person outgrows the other. Certainly, we will have trials and tests in friendships and at times be called on to practice our recovery behaviors. But some friendships will last a lifetime. There are special love relationships, and there are friendships. Sometimes our friendships, especially recovery friendships, can be special love relationships too. I'm thinking of my friend Tanya. Today I will reach out to a friend. I will let myself enjoy the comfort, joys, and enduring qualities of my friendships. Wow. What a great meditation. Just to, I think, remind us all of the specialness of relationships in our life. I think as I get older, my best friend, Tanya, who has now been my friend, so we met when she was about 1.5 years, 2 years sober, and she's coming up on 30, so we've been friends for 28, 29 years, which seems surreal. And I think it seems surreal also because I had good friends of mine that I had before I ever met Tanya, before I ever got sober, And Tanya's been my longest friend in my entire life. And I talk about her in a lot of videos, and she's been in videos of mine, and people know her. And one of the things that Tanya says is as you get older, the road narrows. And, as I've gotten older, it's interesting that what I thought I valued in my youth are not the things that I value as I've gotten older, or that I thought that I would value. I really thought that I would value, I don't know that I necessarily thought that I would, like, I do value financial safety. And what I mean by that is being able to pay the bills, have some savings, things like that. I do value that because it brings me peace of mind to not have to worry about stuff. But I think in my youth, I thought that things would mean a lot to me. And don't get me wrong, I like nice things. I like a nice watch. I like a nice bag. I like a nice trip. But over time, those things, they lose their meaning, And I don't think there's anything wrong with liking nice things, you know what I mean? But it doesn't mean what I thought it would mean to me in my youth. Like, I aimed for that more. And now today, as I get older, what I realize is, like, number one, peace and serenity mean the most to me. To not have, like, drama and conflict in my life with other people. And also the people that I have in my life. I think, like it says in here, that they're representative of what you're going through at that time. I think that the people in my life are representative of who I am as a person at any given time in my life. I really do. And I'm grateful for that. I don't have a big circle, I have a very small circle of friends and of people. I have my husband. I have my cousin Caroline. I have my best friend Tanya Jean. I have my friends Nikki and Mel. I have my friends Melissa and Jason, and our other friends that are couples, and my friend Valerie. I have a couple, like 5 or 6 recovery friends that I talk to on a pretty regular basis. My sponsor, who I also feel elated that I get to refer to her as a friend as well. And my neighbors, you know, but I don't have tons of people. And I think in my youth, I think that my self-worth was defined by how many people liked me. I don't feel like that today. And I think that when I look at all those different people in my life, and I'm sure I do the same for other people, that like they serve different purposes, you know? Like I think that I have different relationships with different friends in my life for different reasons, you know? And, but I will say that one commonality between like my friendship with Tanya, my friendship with Mel, my friendship with Nikki, my friendship with Melissa, all my friends, we're very direct with each other, you know, not in a challenging, hurtful way, but in I love you and I need to tell you this, or I love you and you need to hear this. But we also laugh a hell of a lot, and we also joke. And, you know, I think the way that I define friendships today is different than how I defined friendships 20 years, well, definitely 30 years ago before I was sober. You know, friends to me today are people that are loyal and show up, but you also understand that they got stuff going on in their life too. And not everybody can always show up when you need them to. And I understand that today. And they understand that of me, you know, but a friend is somebody that will fight for you in rooms you're not in. A friend for you is somebody that's always got your back. A friend is somebody that will tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. A friend is somebody that will tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear in a loving way, but will be direct. A friend is somebody that will be there for you when you need to cry and when you need to laugh. But a friend is also somebody that needs that reciprocally as well. You know, I think that we look at relationships in our life and what are my needs, what are my desires, what I want. But I think like my dad said this to me years and years and years ago, long before I was sober, as far as like dating, he said, you have to be what you want to get. And I believe that today, not just in like a marriage with my husband or a relationship with my sponsor. Like I have to be the sponsee that I want her to be as a sponsor. Does that make sense? And so like I have to be the friend that I would want from a friend. And I think that's one thing that I missed for a very, very long time in my life, or that I feel like maybe people that I was either giving too much and not receiving a lot, or it wasn't reciprocal, or I was receiving a lot and not giving a lot. And what I really had to look at was, why did I feel that way? Why was I keeping score? Because I did do that for a long time. Why was I keeping score? And also, what was the friendship about? Like, if I was doing all that and I was having these thoughts and I was thinking, well, I'm giving more than you are, then maybe the friendship didn't really mean that much to me. I don't do that with my friendships today. I don't keep score. I don't do that today, you know? Like, I might call my friend Tanya 4 times in a week, and the next week she might call me every single day, or we might not talk for 3 days in a row because she's super busy, you know? Like, I know, like with my friend Mel, her work schedule, like when she's working a lot, I know, like I'm not going to hear from her for 2 days, and then we catch up on the weekends and we have like a 2-hour phone conversation. You know, it's completely different with like each friendship. I think that's the other thing I've learned. When I was younger, I thought that a lot of my friendships should look alike. And as I've gotten older, what I've realized is that none of those people that I'm friends with, and myself included, we're not all the same. Therefore, those friendships aren't going to look the same. My friendship with Tanya is not going to look the same as my friendship with my friend Nikki, or my friendship with Valerie. They're not going to look the same. Or my one relationship with my one neighbor is not going to look the same as my relationship with another neighbor, because they're completely different people. And I'm completely different when I'm with them. So it's not fair to compare relationships and say, well, this person's a better friend than you are a better friend to me. And then that's keeping score, you know? And in relationships, not just romantic relationships, I mean, my husband and I, this is one thing we had to learn in marriage counseling very early on. Do not play tit for tat. Just don't do that. And don't keep score. Playing tit for tat and keeping score is not healthy in a romantic relationship or a friendship. But today, I am incredibly grateful for the people that I have in my life. And you know what? And they make me feel as if they're grateful for me as well. And I don't need a quantity of people. I don't need tons of people today. I'm very grateful for, I mean, sometimes I think, I don't know that you know what I mean? Like, it's a lot to meet new people and stuff. And with social anxiety, that's hard for me to meet new people. I like meeting new people, but it's hard for me, you know? And I remember when I got on YouTube and I started talking about my friendship with Tanya a lot, and people I can remember I got comments from people that would say, you know, like, I wish I had what you had with Tanya. I've never even had a friend. And I can just remember it was like, oh my God, like it totally put it in perspective for me and changed the course of gratitude for me. That these things that I take for granted, or I took for granted back then, like my friendship with Tanya, are things that some people have never experienced in their entire life. you know? And every year on her sobriety birthday, I always cry. And in my share, I always say, you know, that one of the things they told me when I got sober was that I would repair relationships in my life, but they never told me that I would have the greatest friendship I had ever had in my entire life. And I have that from Tanya and our sobriety together. And I'm incredibly grateful for that. I think one of the things we don't talk about with friendships is that they work both ways, you know? I think when I look back in the past, it was a very much like, there were periods in my life where I was like, well, this is what I need from you and you're not doing that for me. Instead of me saying, what can I do to be a better friend? You know? Where can I show up in ways that I haven't shown up? I think it's really easy in any relationship to point the fingers and say, well, they're not doing this and they're not doing this. But where are we showing up in people's lives? Not just in friendships, but with coworkers, with neighbors. You know, are you always waiting for the casserole on your front door when you're going through something, or are you the person? Because I'm sure there are many of you out there that are that person. That's who I want to be. I want to be the person that shows up, you know, with cookies when somebody's going through a hard time, or makes the phone call first, like this meditation said, reach out to somebody today. I used to say that at the end of my vlog, you know, reach out to somebody today and let them know how much you care about them. Because there's somebody today that hasn't heard from anybody else. You know, I know that this, like, when I say this, people are like, oh my God, but when I look through my phone, sometimes, like, my phone will literally say, like, my husband and Tanya for, like, the last 24 hours, you know? Or, like, I'll say to my friend Nikki, like, I haven't talked to anybody else but you today, you know? Just reach out to somebody. Be the person to do it first. Don't always feel like you need to wait for somebody, you know? I think that's one of the things that I had to learn, too. My mom, she never wanted to reach out to people. She always felt like she was a burden. She'd always say, I don't want to be a burden to somebody. They've got their husband or they've got their family or their kids. Like, I don't want to be a burden. And I remember at my mom's funeral, and I was sitting like in the front row, the pew at church. And when I got up to give a eulogy, and our church was like 2 stories. And so when I got up, the entire church, my mom was a very, very lonely person. The entire church was packed, standing room only in the balcony. And I had this eulogy written out, and I remember I lost it, and I started crying. And I said my mom would be so overwhelmed because she never knew she was that loved. Reach out to people. Reach out to people. Sometimes you have to make the first move. That's one of the things that I have really, really had to learn. You know, and when I need to be around somebody, it's okay for me to call my friend and say, I need to be around somebody. Can we do something tonight? And they might be busy, and that's okay. And that's not personal, you know? And when I get old, like when I was younger, I took that stuff personally. I don't take that stuff personally anymore. You know, if I call up one of my friends and they're like, I'd love to go to a meeting tonight. Unfortunately, I already made a commitment to somebody else. I don't take that personally. Well, why are you inviting them but you're not inviting? Listen, invite who you want to invite. We'll catch up down the road. I don't take that stuff personally. I'm just grateful that I, like was said in the show White Lotus this past season, you know? I can't believe I'm using this in a Peterisms video. But I love the scene where the 3 friends from junior high were sitting together and she said, I'm just glad I still have a seat at the table. I'm glad I still have a seat at the table, you know? One other thing is I remember this. When my mom was older than I am now, I'd say like in her late 50s, early 60s, and she died at 64. My mom reconnected with friends of hers, like from college and stuff like that. And those were some of her best friends, like from high school and college. Those were some of her best friends that she had later in life, like her last few years, were people that she had reconnected with early on, you know? And I remember that because I'm like, I'm always open to that. When people from my past reach out to me and they're like, I would love to catch up and see where you're at, I'm always open to that today. There was a period where I wasn't, but today I am. I make jokes about it and stuff like with high school reunions. But if somebody reached out to me today and was like, I would love to get together and do something with you, I would love to do it too. Like, let's catch up, let's go out to dinner, let's go out to lunch, you know? Because I'm always open to that, you know? And maybe something, how it ended 20 years ago is we're different people today. You know, I reconnected with a friend of mine a few years ago, and we really hadn't talked in like 20 years. And it didn't end bad, but I wouldn't say it ended good, the friendship. You know, I mean, it wasn't like an argument or anything like that. We just kind of went our separate ways. But what we both realized was that we had grown so much and we were such different people. And we needed that space apart to be able to have the friendship that we have today, you know? And I'm grateful for that. I can't imagine, you know, I watch these shows, you know, they read these apocalyptic books about people just walking the earth by themselves. I can't imagine that. Oh my God, I was getting to the end of this video and the tripod fell. I've been having a hard time with the tripod today. But you know, I know when I make this video today or when I post this video that I'll get a few comments from people that will say, or direct messages, and they'll say like, I really appreciate your video. Like, I don't have anybody in my life. I'm very lonely. And you know, I've gone through those periods in my life. I've gone through the periods where I felt like my mom, like I felt like I was a burden to everybody, or I didn't feel like anybody wanted to hang out with me and I felt like a loser and I thought I'm not going to bother anybody. Nobody wants to hang out with me anyway. What I learned is that sometimes at the expense of rejection, I had to make the first move. Sometimes I had to reach out to people and say, if not today, when? And, you know, and can we do something sometime? Like, I would love to hang out. Ask a coworker to lunch, you know, do something. I had to. And when all else failed, I go out to dinner by myself. I go see a movie by myself. I learned to love being by myself. And that was really the greatest thing. Because when I was forced into a position where I was like, if nobody wants to go out to dinner, I'll go out to dinner by myself. If nobody wants to go see a movie, I'll go see a movie by myself. What I learned was I learned loving to be by myself. I learned to love myself. And I think that radiated out to other people, because then when I would see people, you know, it was like there was an ease about me that I didn't have before, because there was a nervousness that I always had before, which I still have today because of social anxiety and stuff. But I think that I learned to be comfortable in my own skin. And I also learned that just because somebody says they don't want to do something is not rejection. You know, it doesn't, just because somebody says I can't do something today, or no, I don't really feel like it, that doesn't mean rejection, you know? It just means that maybe they're busy. It's not personal, like I said, you know? But I'm grateful for every friend, every relationship, every in-law that I have today, my dad, my stepmom. I mean, I'm grateful for all the people that I have in my life today. You know, that when you look back on your life, it's the memories and the experiences that you have with people, you know, with pets, with my neighbors, you know, being at the pool, talking to my neighbors in the pool. Those are some of my greatest memories, you know? So I'm grateful. I'm really grateful for the relationships I've had in my life. And I want that for all of you as well. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.